Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Everyday is Saturday. I'm Matt Stahl, along with my partner, Brad Gatto.
What is up?
Oh, nice. Best one in a while.
I wanted to do the old Budweiser commercial.
Which one?
I didn't do it because I didn't think it was
The frog one?
We're just going to skip it.
Okay.
Some people out there are going to know. I said, what is up? It is very similar to that. You don't remember this?
Is it the frogs?
Some people, yes.
Okay. That's all you need.
It was frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are going to get it. Some people won't. But anyway.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. What's new with you, sir? I get to start this time.
You get to start. Wow. Really flipping the tables on me
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
over the place here today. What's new? Broken record. I talk about soccer often. You know, we have 4 children in soccer. We're also doing some landscaping. So it's fun to see. And I should say, Katie does most of the planning. Katie, my wife, does most of the planning and the execution. I'm just the grunt work. So I just get kind of.
You're physically doing it?
So we are. Some of it, not all of it, but she's really like throwing herself into this. She's really into plants all of a sudden. So we are doing some landscaping.
I think that comes with age.
I think it does. We were talking about
not too many 20-year-olds into plants.
Yeah, we were talking about getting bird feeders and stuff.
Oh boy.
Oh man. We just got old.
Then the bird bath and then yep. It's coming.
Then it's game over. Yeah. So that's what we've been up to is
then you put your name on a waiting list for a care facility.
Right.
Make sure you get in.
TLC on the house. You and I both bought new houses around the same time. And
you have 4 kids. TLC is a constant.
Yes. TLC on the house.
I know because your kids are got to be destroying it. Right. You have 4 of them running around.
2 of them are at camp right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the 2 calm ones are at home. So
okay. How long are they at camp? 4 years. Camp in air quotes.
They get back Friday. So we're taking advantage of having a little free time. I love being outside. I like being sweaty outside. So it's been a ton of fun to do that together.
Awesome.
How about you?
Our home remodel project is officially finished.
Wow. Congrats.
The last thing that needed to be done, which was a handle on a door. The door was installed 4 months ago. The handle just got put on. That was literally the only thing that needed to be done to check the box of the remodel is finished, is the contractor had to come put this dumb handle back on. And he just wasn't coming. And he randomly just showed up and put it on. So I guess we can check the box of being done with that.
Closure.
I just finished a wonderful book on World War II. If you don't know this about me, I love World War II. And one of my clients actually gave me a really interesting book. The name is escaping me right now.
Wow, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Well, come on. The book itself was about the 100th Airborne and the work that they were doing down in Guadalcanal in the Pacific Theater. It was very, very good. So that was great. So now I got to find a new, actually I'm reading a book on the Great Depression. Gosh, I sound like a very depressed person.
Jeez.
I got to finish that. There's something else like when I was prepping for how am I going to answer this question today, those weren't even the things I was going to say. It was something else. And now I don't remember what that thing was. It obviously wasn't that interesting. So that's all I'm up to, Matt. That's it.
I love it.
Man, that's really going to bug me. What the heck was I going to say?
Maybe it'll come to you.
Yeah.
I don't know about landscaping, plants.
Nope. We're doing none landscaping.
None.
I don't know. We're just going to move on.
All right.
So here's what this episode is going to be. If you've been I'll say longtime listener of the podcast and been around at least in the fiat world or ecosphere for the last couple of years, you will know that Fiat's story, this is a very, very, very truncated version of the story, is an interesting one. Matt and I and another gentleman started this firm together, 3 of us in 2009. By the end of 2010, Matt was the sole owner of the firm and I had gone one way and the third gentleman had gone a different way. And then in 2018, we started talking again. 2019, I officially came back as far as an ownership is concerned, but still had a day job. Left that at the end of 2019. And then you and I were kind of back in the full-time Fiat seats January 1st of 2020. And then 2 years ago, I think this month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago, June. So it would have been June of 2022.
Yep.
You stepped away as an owner.
Yep.
So you and I started owning a third of it. Then you owned 100% of it. And then we owned it 50-50. And now I own 100% of it.
There's only one thing left to do.
Right. I don't know what. Die? Like, what do you mean? Like meat? None of us own it?
Yeah, someone else has to step in.
Well, that's not the plan right now. So don't freak out there.
Freak out.
But it's been a couple of years since we announced this. Yet here you are still doing the podcast. You still do the Inner Circle workshop with me. And so I thought it'd be a really good idea just to update our listeners on what in the world is going on with Matt Stahl.
Yeah.
Because I get the question a decent amount.
Do you?
From people like, well, what's Matt's story? What's Matt's deal? And if I'm getting the question, a lot more people are wondering than are actually asking.
What's your
you and I just got done having lunch and you told me the whole story and I couldn't tell it again if my life depended on it. I know roughly what you're doing, but I want the listeners to know. And so 2 years ago, you stepped away as an owner of Fiat and for all intents and purposes, the day-to-day. Now there's a little bit of a transition time there, but freed up a lot of that back. Since then, you've been kind of a coach and mentor to some of the staff and then stayed on doing content with me, podcast and Inner Circle workshops.
Yeah.
So outside of that, Matt, what in the world are you doing with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up, Matt?
I'm still figuring that out. I'm on career number 3 in my life. So
the first one was pretty short.
It was a year. So that one did not last very long.
You and I have a similar, You were an engineer for a year. I was youth pastor for a year and a half. And then we ended up here. So
all right. So some of this is related to our journey. So 2019, Brad again becomes part of Fiat, and we start thinking about what do we want this company to look like? And part of that is we grew really rapidly. Like we went from you and I and one staff person and
who worked 2 days a month.
So we worked 2 days a month.
And we paid cash.
And by 2020, we had people approaching us that wanted to join us. Yep. So we had to figure that out real quickly because they wouldn't go away. they wouldn't take no for an answer. And
an interesting way to put that. I like it.
From that time frame of 2019 to 2022, we grew very rapidly, both in terms of size, but also complexity and everything else. And along that time frame, I always describe this as going from running a practice to running a business. And when it was just me, it was very much just a practice, and we became a business really quickly. And around that same time, I was part of a local group that was focused on exploratory leadership as a skill set. And I was taking a lot of those things that I was learning throughout the whole process, and I was bringing them back here. And I just shared with Brad, we were talking about this. A part of being an advisor that I always enjoyed was the one-on-one conversations with the clients. I love that. I love people. I love helping solve problems. I found it becoming repetitive where, for example, 401k allocations or making Roth conversion decisions that didn't feel as challenging as it once was. And what I started to really gravitate towards and really enjoy was asking the question, hey, what's keeping you up at night? Like financially, what's on your mind? And I would notice most of the client visits consisted of about 50 minutes of that and 10 minutes of, here's how your retirement plan looks like, here you go. And I found a lot of fulfillment, and I feel like that was providing value to those folks as well. Well, at the same time, we're growing our team, and Brad and I had a conversation. A part of that was doing in-person workshops, and we looked at each other, and I enjoy public speaking, but I don't enjoy it as much as you do. Like that fills your cup, right? What fills your cup is to be in front of a group of people. What fills my cup is to have conversations with small groups of people. And so we made the decision for you to take over on the workshop side of things, which meant that you were out and about a bit more, and I was here. And that turned into, as we have this company ahead of us, the things that became really important are what is the culture of that company? And I think that's something that we both have realized is a really, really important thing. And what is the culture, and how are these people being led? And so that role evolved from being an advisor one-on-one with clients to being in a leadership role really quickly.
Yeah. So I just want to add some context there. And there's a lot of independent advisors out there, or there's a lot of in any industry, there's solo practitioners of whatever it is that they do, or maybe they have one employee or they have two employees or something like that. Right. And it's not to say that those aren't real businesses, because they are, But the second you start to have, a significant staff like we did, now all of a sudden the complexity that you're talking about is how do we care for them? Now it's not just the clients that we have to figure out how to care for, but I have all these employees that we also have to figure out how to care for.
Right.
And that's just different. So
yeah,
to me, that's what you're talking about or referencing is like sitting back here, all of a sudden it's, we're making decisions that affect you and I, right? Because it's our company and we are the owners and we only had one part-time, very, very part-time staff member. And so, but they weren't working at Fiat enough that any decision that you and I made day to day wasn't going to affect their day to day.
Right.
To, in a very short amount of time, having multiple staff people that were full-time. So now every decision that you and I make doesn't just affect you and I.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's almost like having, and I mean this in an endearing way, it's like having kids.
Right. Yeah.
Like when you're first married and you have no kids, if that's, well, at least that's the way it was with you and I, like you're just, every decision you make is in somewhat way, it's selfish. Like,
right.
Well, we're just going to do whatever benefits us the most. And then all of a sudden you've got all these other people to worry about and decisions to make. And it adds that level of complexity.
Yeah. So evolution wise, the role changed fairly quickly.
Yep.
I started to really find my passion. I knew the passion was working with people directly, helping them solve problems, helping them make decisions. But just focusing on the financial piece wasn't scratching the itch. And as you've shared, I know, and I think most people are aware, I own a gym, and wellness has been a really important part of my life. And so I found myself wanting to help guide people beyond just numbers. So beyond just the financial side of things. And so this all took shape. I was having conversations with several people, but I started to find this pattern of people finding success, but not fulfillment. So, you're checking off the boxes of
that's
success.
Deep. Well, it is. You just breeze past it, but
it's the proverbial, all right, I did all these things that are supposed to make me happy, yet it feels like something's missing. And or
maybe you're not even just happy. It's by the world's definition, I'm successful.
Right.
And maybe you didn't even seek out that for the purpose of making you happy. Maybe it was for the definition of those around you and just the fulfillment of that, but still doesn't leave you feeling that way.
Yeah. And the more conversations I had, and I remember a couple conversations specifically with you, one of which took place in Arkansas, where I've always had a personal development practice, or I shouldn't say I always have, since 2010, because I was in a position where I had to succeed or I had to make it happen or I was done from a career standpoint. And
you and I were both having our first kids in 2010.
Right. So I developed this whole different areas of practices that I would do. And I didn't realize how strange that was until I'd share them with other people. And even at the height of us being as busy as we were, I'd always try to find at least half an hour to buzz out of here and go to a park and, doing some different journaling activities, just things to keep my head on straight. And the more I shared those with people, the more I realized that most people weren't doing those things.
Yep.
And so I wanted to continue to share that with more and more people because it's helped me keep my head on straight and stay sane and pointed to the direction that I want to go, and also showing up for those around me in the best way I possibly can. And so Ascent is what I'm doing now. That's what I'm getting to this. And that's the name of the new company that will be officially launching on July 30th. So there's been some preview stuff put out there, but the official launch will be on July 30th of 2024. And so this is part conversations that I've had with other people, but it's an ecosystem of experiences to elevate human potential. And I think
that's a mouthful.
So it is a mouthful.
I can tell you've wordsmithed that though, there's been some work put in on the elevator speech, which I appreciate, and we'll unpack it. But I just want to, again, bring context to the listeners. So we mentioned it was 2 years ago, right, that you stepped away from ownership at Fiat.
Yep.
And you're now officially launching Ascent at the end of next month, at the end of July. As we record this, it's June. At the end of July, it's launching. So for the last 2 years, you've been building something behind the scenes.
Yes.
And now are officially kind of bringing it to the world as not a completed product, because no business is ever completed, but like as something refined enough to now come to market with.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah. So This started as a retreat experience. So I was taking groups of 8 to 10 people up to Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, and design an experience centered around 4 elements. And that was wellness, adventure, connection, and pursuit. And so wellness is not just physical wellness, not just are we eating right and sleeping and hydrating, but it's spiritual wellness, mental health, the whole person. So adventure, that is not just adventure for the sake of doing something fun, which it can be fun, but there's also a personal growth element to that. So getting us outside of our comfort zone, being around other people. The connection piece is both connecting with new people, thinking about how we connect with those that are the most important to us when we go home, and also connecting with ourselves, like our true authentic selves. And pursuit is what's getting you up in the morning. Like, what are you creating in the world? So pursuit for you is fiat.
Yep.
Right now, that's very clear. Pursuit for me is Ascent right now, and bringing that back and sharing that with, the fiat family and continuing to do that, I consider a gift, because this is what I'm put on the planet to do.
Yeah.
Like I believe that. And so it started as a retreat. What this has evolved into is building a local community in the Twin Cities. And so as part of that community, we're bringing that experience of the 3-day retreat that we're hosting and bringing it closer to home.
Yep.
So we're going to build a community of, at first, 100 people. And then as we're able to continue to expand beyond that, then we'll continue to open those gates for more people to jump aboard. So
somebody joins Ascent or is a part of your community. What does that mean? Why would they do it? What do they get for it?
Yeah. So there's 2 different paths that people can choose from at the higher level. So there's a community membership where there's a digital community we've created where they can see who else is part of that. They can connect with one another. There's digital resources put in there. There's learning experiences, and this will be thought leaders, Jimmy Chin, for example, Ryan Holiday, an author, some sort of learning experience where they have a breadth of knowledge in some particular topic. Community gatherings. So this will be things hosted throughout the Twin Cities. This might be sauna and cold plunge experience. It might be a breathwork experience, sunrise yoga, maybe a dinner on a farm with a local chef. Those are examples of a community gathering that we would host. And beyond that, then you can also opt for being part of a peer group. And this is something that's had a really big influence on me, is having a peer group. So a group of other folks that are in different realms of life, different professions. And we get together once a month and we share challenges, we share victories and challenges, and help solve challenges with one another. So it's like having your own personal board of directors.
Yeah.
And as being part of those communities, they then have access to the retreats, access to a summit adventure. This would be like a guided, curated trip to climb Mount Kilimanjaro or Machu Picchu.
Small little trip.
Well, something that would be on your bucket list, but there's lots of hurdles to get to that.
Yeah.
So a really simple way I've heard this described, it's like an easy button for living a really inspiring life.
Yep.
So someone else is planning it, someone else is curating. I just get to plug into that. A, knowing it's going to be an incredible experience, but B, also knowing I'm going to be surrounded by other great people.
Yep.
Really simple way to describe it is like cool people doing cool things. Like, it's not elitist. You don't have to make a certain amount of money, but we do want to be really selective about those that are part of that community. Grocery store test, that language. And also access to coaching. So there's these possible paths that people can go down, but at the really base level, there's just 2 general memberships that they can be a part of that and have access to the network of folks and have access to all those experiences.
Yeah. That's a lot, but it's super interesting. What I think it boils down to is this, from an update perspective, Matt, is that I feel like, from the time that I came back to the time that you decided to step away, in that couple of years where you thrived in the growth of our company was doing something similar to what you're talking about with me and with the other employees of Fiat, and what you were doing with your clients before, which is trying to help them find kind of a little bit of meaning and purpose to what they're doing, helping center them in a lot of ways, whether that's physically, spiritually, emotionally, that kind of stuff. And so it was what you defaulted to anyway. So it's really cool for me to watch, a couple of years after, you deciding to kind of make this change in your life, figure out how to take your passion and turn it into something that can pay your bills. it's hard to do. It's, ideas, I say this to my wife all the time. I'm like, ideas are like less than 5% of the battle.
Right.
Execution is a big part of it. And one of the biggest problems with execution isn't necessarily the drive for a lot of people. I mean, for some people that's it, but it's how do I take this and put it on a piece of paper and make it something that I can do that people will pay for? And it's been fun to watch you make that happen. Really excited for you for the end of next month and the official launch of the company. It's been fun to kind of watch what you've been able to put together over the last couple of years. And if any of you out there want to know anything more about what Matt is doing or Ascent, how do they find more information on it?
Yeah. So it's ascent-community.com.
Okay.
Is where you'll find the website. And we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and stay tuned because we'll be announcing more experiences.
No TikTok?
So no TikTok. No, what's the other stuff? What's all the other
Facebook?
So no Facebook.
No Facebook. Interesting choices of social platforms. I know nothing about socials, so I'm not saying it's good or bad. I don't even know why I think it's interesting because I don't know if I have any context for why you should be on one and not on another one. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to say is this. What I love about what you're doing is, this is my belief. I believe that we're created, like if you just look at human beings and like where human beings thrive. And when you see somebody that's just like crushing life, and I don't mean financially, I just mean, I think you guys know what I mean. I think we're built to live in community. I think we're built to be together. Mm-hmm. Like Absolutely. Human beings that live in community and have intentional relationships and, people that not only are pouring into them, but they have the ability to pour into other people, which is also part of we're built to live in community. We're built to be a vessel where stuff comes in, but stuff goes back out. Whether it's our money, our time, our resources, our energy, our efforts, like we are supposed to be the best that we can and then use that, whatever that is in us, to help other people around us be the best that they can. I do believe that we're spiritual creatures. And so being able to connect that way, there's just a lot about what you're doing that is just kind of bringing people back to what makes the average human being thrive and giving them the opportunity to do it. And it's really cool because a lot of products and solutions are these easy buttons of like, I want to get this faster. I want to do this faster. That's not at all what this is. This is helping people kind of get back to the core of like, what does it mean to thrive on a day-by-day basis? And you found a way to make a business out of it. And it's awesome.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Definitely not the path that you would ever draw out, right? Like, I'm going to be an engineer for a minute and then I'm going to become a financial advisor and then do that for a while by myself as a lifestyle practice and then turn it into, a legit organization, not a lifestyle practice, and then use that as a launch pad into what I think is probably your calling in life.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that you could have done what you're doing now at 25 or even 35. And so I think there's a lot of timing elements that go into it that make it great for you. And so while we do miss you in a lot of the day-to-day at Fiat, obviously still been great to have you around as a mentor for the staff and to be a part of the podcast and the Inner Circle workshop, but also really cool what you've been able to accomplish on the side while having 4 kids and a gym and whatever else is that you're doing, driving cars into the ground. So, well, thanks for the update. I know a lot of people have been asking, so hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a preview and to what Matt Stahl is doing outside of recording these podcasts with us here at Fiat. So Matt, thanks for sharing a little bit more of your story. I don't want to cut you off. Anything else you want to tell the listeners about what's going on before we wrap up?
No, I just would like to say, like, it's been really fun to be an outsider and not a complete outsider, but I get to observe Fiat's trajectory from a little bit different spot. And so given that we created this in 2000,
you have a front row seat.
So I have a front row seat. Yes. It's been really fun to watch the growth and like to think back to 2009 and what this has become is pretty awesome. And my time here meant a lot and it shaped who I am, and I'll continue to carry that forward.
Awesome. Well, I don't have a really awesome inspirational quote to like end this or anything like that. So I felt like that was what was needed. And I was like, shoot, I got nothing. Anyway, July 30th or 31st?
30th.
July 30th, the official launch of Ascent. And one more time, where can they find more information?
AscentCommunity.com. So ASCENT-community.com.
Awesome. And we'll put it in the show notes as well. Go check it out. It's a really cool thing that Matt's got going on. And if you're one of those people that's looking for a community like that, I would say, I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, like I think it's great for those of us that are, whether we're trying to grow families or trying to grow businesses, or we're trying to thrive in the community in which we live in, or in our church community, whatever that means, being intentional with that is important. And Matt's company is giving people an opportunity to do just that. And so go ahead and look that up. If you want any more information on what we're doing here at Fiat, our website is fiatwm.com, fiatwm.com. Feel free to reach out to us. That being said, thanks for joining us for this special episode, I would say, of Every Day is Saturday, and we will see all of you next Saturday.
Thank you for listening to Every Day is Saturday. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Fiat Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.